Hey there, my friend, it's Dave Wood, and I wanted to welcome you to episode number 8 of The Daily Shortcut. As you absorb the content of today's episode, I want you to think about the last thing that you said to someone. Something that you said to anyone. Did it uplift them? Did it encourage them? Did it edify them? Did it speak inspiration and vision? Did it speak belief into the person that you were communicating with? What impact did your words have on them? I want you to pay close attention as we explore the power of leadership and how your power to influence others through leadership will help you attract more sales and maximize your selling potential. Former president, speechwriter, and author James Hume said this. He said, "Every time you speak, you're auditioning for leadership." I want you to think about that for a moment as you're realizing that Hume isn't writing about being a professional speaker. Again, I ask, what was the last thing that you said? Over the years, I've heard leadership defined in different ways, and what I've come to believe is that leadership can only be demonstrated adequately, and it can't adequately be described. It creates certain things by manifesting influence and results, leaving behind a trail of change. I quote Ronald Reagan when he said, "The greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He's the one that gets the people to do the greatest things." Orrin Woodward points out in his book that the way sports coaches and business leaders win is actually the same. They use a process called PDCA, which is plan, do, check, adjust, described in this blog post, to create and execute game plans, to keep score, and adjust to get better results. The idea of keeping score and tracking results reminds me of a concept that I began to understand when I first started marketing online in 2009. Make data-driven decisions if you want to prosper. Because if you don't pay attention to numbers in your own business and also the changes in market conditions and results, you might think that what you're doing is working while your business is actually in a state of decline from market saturation, competition, or changes in technology. One of the most complex tasks for any leader to learn and to implement is to actually create a scoreboard for every aspect of their business and also of their life. On the internet, for example, I've met a lot of marketers that have great systems in place to monitor conversions data, but they have the most awful financial control systems that exist in any kind of a business because we get a lot of free-spirited entrepreneurs. They've never studied accounting systems. They've never been to school. So conversion tracking is one kind of data system. Accounting controls are actually another kind of data system altogether. The other day, I heard a story about a friend of mine who has such poor accounting control and data that his books that are made by hand, think about this, he has an internet business, they're always off by like 5 figures a month or sometimes 6 figures a month. His books are missing $100,000. How would it be possible to make data-driven decisions without accurate financial data? You can't, right? That's just as ignorant of us to do as it is for an internet marketer online to spend $10,000 on traffic without having any conversion skill, expecting to create a return on their investment by hoping and waiting and praying for the best. It's ridiculous, right? When I was trying to build a business in Amway in 2005 offline, I did the same thing. I had people actually coming over to my apartment in Phoenix, Arizona every single week. They had paper order forms and they were writing checks to pick up products I was ordering from my sponsor over the phone a few days earlier. This is in 2002 to 2005. My team members would come and they would deliver a check. If I didn't have a product they ordered, I would just lose track of the things because the tracking system was so old and bad, and also my brain is built more like an artist than an accountant. It didn't work for me. So what I started to do, because I was so desperate to solve a disaster of people not getting their products, was I actually just started to give people's money back and to refund them without getting a refund back. In other words, I was giving them money I didn't have. I ignorantly thought and assumed I was fine. I'm going to solve this problem when I'm rich years later. Well, data, systems, and accounting controls prevent little disasters from turning into nuclear explosions down the road. One of the most important leadership principles that I've ever discovered, I wish I would have read in a book, but instead, like most of the knowledge that I've got deep in my soul, I learned it through pain from acting in the absence of a mentor who had done what I was actually trying to do. I can best describe the lesson with these words, and that's wherever you're not prospering in your life, you're immediately beginning to perish, and the inverse is also true. Where there's no vision, the people perish is a common saying from Proverbs 29:18. It's easy to toss around the word vision without the understanding the meaning of really having a vision in your life. Well, saying that is true, the reverse is also true, and it applies in context, meaning actually two things. Number one, where there is vision, the people actually prosper. Number two, vision is actually contextual and can exist in one area of your life, but not another, and that could be because of pride, ignorance, or even arrogance. Sometimes contextual prosperity from creating vision in one area of your life over here inflates our pride in areas that are not even related to the context in which we prosper. I remember when I started making more than $100,000 a month for the first time in my life, and how I started to think I was like invulnerable, like I was Wolverine or Superman or Batman or had powers or something. Pride can create a personal destruction cycle, and it immediately begins to dismantle your prosperity and shut off the divine gateway inside that gives us revelation and wisdom to create new worlds with our words and our actions. Pride destroys the ability to create inspired vision, and simultaneously the inverse is also true. Humility creates new worlds. It unifies people, brings them together, is honest with data in front of you. It opens up a floodgate of inspiration that flows like a current of living water running through time, giving life to the world around you as you step into the inspiration that you're created to be. If you're humble, if you're open and willing, desiring, working and adjusting towards your vision, you're going to prosper, and you're going to become a leader that will create change in the world. That, my friend, is reality-based prosperity. Leaders with a vision, they align a culture to create a current of change. Warren talks about the concept of a cultural current that is formed from the lessons of leadership within an organization that nurture new people as they're coming into a team. The painful lessons and life learnings of the leaders aligned with the new members that are actually coming into the culture to create a flow of positive change that leads people in the right direction. He says this: leaders create culture, and culture creates results. Because I've been blessed enough to do business in 216 countries and work with hundreds of thousands of customers, employees, affiliates, and vendors, I've seen social patterns that they play out in a way that few people have seen. I've done things right. I've also made mistakes at the same time. I'm not perfect. What I've learned is that culture can be likened to a metaphor that I gave in a post the other day about financial patterns. Tiny cultural issues can magnify in relation to the size of the group of people. Something that maybe seems okay with 10 people, right, will result in a team of hundreds of thousands of people falling apart years later for no apparent reason whatsoever. One time I was at a Danny Johnson seminar in California, and she said this. She said, to change the fruit, go to the root. Good cultures have strict social rules and systems for a reason, and that reason isn't always apparent for those that are actually coming into the culture and are easy to write off as completely unimportant. I remember when I first was in network marketing in 2002 and how I thought a good half of their cultural rules were only there because the leaders were so old. It was youthful ignorance. I now know from direct experience why they had every single one of those cultural rules. Each one had someone's name on it and a pattern of destruction that they had in the past that made them put a system in place to prevent that into the future. But a culture isn't just there to create rules and prevent destruction in the future. It's also there to create abundance and prosperity now through properly executing on a vision. Let me share something that I learned from a book, and it's the 6-step business game execution pattern. Number 1, you want to define the game. Business isn't quite the same as participating in a sport, because in business, you actually define your own rules and structure outside of society's legal and economic framework. Some rules are important, and others can just be broken. Getting clear on your outcome, your target customer, who they are, your systems, and also your game plan are essential to create anything that's great in your life. Number 2, track parameter. You can't improve what you can't track. Every part of your business and your life need to evolve into a system that you can use to track progress if you want to continue to prosper and build with the way things are actually working in the world. There's a fine line with creating reality distortion and changing your environment, like Steve Jobs talks about, and fantasy that's ignoring real data in front of you. Number 3, educate team parameters. If your team doesn't know how to track results within the parameters that you're creating in your culture, they won't be able to change their behavior from feedback as they're getting or they're not getting results within that actual culture. Educate people on the system and how the system will be tracked and managed to help them get the results that they want. Number 4, play and score the game. Now it's time to take massive action and make things happen. Treat your business like a game and be willing to play. When you get results and keep score, and when you don't get results and keep score, adjust. Remember, there's no failure. There's only feedback from the action that you're taking that can help you adjust and get the results that you actually want. Number 5, study the score. You want to pay attention to the tracking and the numbers in every area of your business if you want to be a real entrepreneur. I've made mistakes in the past of not paying attention to certain patterns of data or not creating systems that give clarity on reality that's in front of me. I've made the change, and so should you. Treat your business like it can be a $1 billion empire, because the truth is, it can. Number 6, you want to make adjustments in PDCA. When you get feedback on something that's working, you want to do more of it, and you want to make tests against it to actually make it better. When you get feedback that something isn't working, you want to change it and try doing it in a different way until you start producing trackable results. You can then improve through testing in your business. I hope that you've been enjoying this content. Don't just read this, comment, take notes on it, and apply it in your life and your business. I'd like to know specifically how you're going to implement what you learned and what your major aha was today. If I can help you have that little aha every single day, we can create worlds together over the next year. One of the reasons why I'm making these episodes is actually testing a better system of learning for myself. Rather than just reading for an hour a day like I normally do, I set a timer actually. I'm reading with the intention of writing and teaching. So I study rather than just reading. I'll report the results as I get them and as I'm implementing things that I learn in my own life and learn in my own business. Share this with your teams and on Facebook, and let's create better leadership in the world, and let's go out there and make changes that impact people, because you, my friend, are important and can do beautiful things. I'll see you in the next episode.